Hi, everybody. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Winter Solstice, and Happy upcoming New Year's. I have some free science fiction and fantasy books to get you through this holiday season. Okay, just fantasy, more specifically, romantasy, but we have some USA Today best-selling authors, books with tens of thousands of positive reviews. And it's if you like romantic fantasy, we have you covered. But before we get to all that, hi everybody, welcome back to the MetaStellar YouTube channel. I'm the editor here at MetaStellar. My name is Maria Korolov, and today I was helped out by Lilibet Dominguez Torres, Sydney Levinson, and E.S. Foster. And Emma is here with us today. Hi, Emma.
Hey.
All right, so don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss any of these videos. We do them every single Friday because Amazon has a bestseller list for free science fiction and fantasy, and the books are different all the time. So absolutely don't miss this if you like getting free science fiction and fantasy. All right, let's get into the first book, which is book number five. We're going to count down for book number five to book number one. And Emma read this for us, but I am going to make the book a little bit bigger so that you can see it. Here it is. Let me zoom in on that for you. There we go. Crown of Earth and Sky by Emberly Ash. And that's a sword going down there through the middle of that book cover, in case you're wondering about what that is. And this is the first of four books in the Secrets of the Fairy Crown series, which is a retelling of the King Arthur story. The other books are $6 each, but they are all in Kindle Unlimited, and the author has been on this list before. Kindle Unlimited is where you pay $12 a month and you read all the books you want. And all the series we're reviewing today are all in Kindle Unlimited. So if you like the first book in the series, and if you're a Kindle Unlimited subscriber, you can read all the other books for free, which, I mean, for no additional cost other than your Kindle Unlimited subscription, which is a fantastic deal. This is not sponsored by Amazon. I mean, we do get an affiliate link, but not from these because they're free books. But I'm a member because I read a lot, and Kindle Unlimited is a really great deal. Okay, so Emma, what did you think of this book?
Yeah, so I reviewed this like already in June, already so many months ago, and I really enjoyed it the first time. So going back into it, it made me really excited to jump back into it again. So in this world, it's a retelling of Prince Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, except King Arthur and like all the knights and everyone possess elemental magic. And protecting non-magic users is everyone's top priority in this world. But in this world, Arthur also has a mysterious twin sister named Veka, and she learned long ago that she needed to protect herself. So she also has magic, but because she's not heir to the throne, she was locked away basically for most of her life. But she does get to interact with her brother every now and then, and they do have a pretty good relationship. So now, as several years have passed, they're both young adults, and now it's almost time for the royal court to convene for Arthur's marriage to one of the non-fairies. So right now, it's like both the fairy and the non-fairy kingdoms, they're meant to be united through this marriage and to please the aged ancestors. So I guess those are kind of like gods or something like that. And Vika is forced to join, but she doesn't see any point in all the formalities. It has nothing to do with her anyway. And she knows that the elementals and then the non-magic users, also called terrestrials, are just doomed to fight each other forever. She has a very cynical view of this whole thing. And thankfully, she's safe from many of these politics and deception because her brother is going to become king and she doesn't have to worry about it. She's not going to be a royal for long. So during the celebration, however, Becca sees this mysterious light floating around the room. And all of a sudden, it disappears. She can't figure out what it is. Then moments later, the lights go out and the court erupts into chaos. Becca is dragged outside for her own safety, but not before hearing news that her brother has just been assassinated. So King Arthur, before he can become king, has been killed. So now she's suddenly meant to become the queen. All the elemental fae But Vega knows that something is up. She knows that this was happening through like deception at the court. She wants to get down to the bottom of it, but she's going to find out that this deception goes deeper than she ever thought imaginable, and things are going to get worse, especially now that her betrothed has showed up. So right off the bat, I thought this was a really cool idea. I thought when I first reviewed it that I really liked the idea of King Arthur with fire powers. Like that just sounded really cool to read. And even if he was killed off in the first chapter, it just made it all the more interesting. I also like Vega as a character, how resourceful and witty she was. So it was fun getting into her head. I like how she even complained about all of the other characters. And so I think I might stick around with this because I so many books on my reading list that the first time I reviewed this, I said I'd stick around with it. But now I think I'm finally going to be able to get into it, just move aside, have some free time, and actually get into this series.
All right, thanks. So we have more romantasy coming up. The next book is A Court of Ravens and Ruin by Eliza Raine. The first of four books in the Shadowbound Queen, another romantic fantasy series. The other books are $5 each, but they're all in Kindle Unlimited. And two of our people read this today. Sydney Levinson read this, one of our volunteers, and Emma read this. So Emma, can you tell us about both of those reviews?
Yeah, I think I'll go through my review because I don't know, maybe Sydney had like a slightly different interpretation of like the book, and I don't know what her thoughts about it were, but for me,
But the link
it's
is in the
sort of
description box below. So you guys,
yeah, exactly.
if you want to get the
So
other,
you can read both.
yeah.
Yeah. Because like when I first started it, it was advertised as like enemies to lovers, so it had that trope in it. And I'm not a huge fan of that trope. So I feel like if you're gonna have a relationship, it shouldn't start out with hate. Okay, that's my 2 cents. But however, this book also takes inspiration from Norse mythology. So I was intrigued. I always enjoy reading about Norse mythology, Vikings, that type of thing. So it starts off with this quick, like half a page chapter of this unknown character. He's looking for someone. All of a sudden, this fey creature that's kind of like a zombie appears, and like half of its body is missing. It's just wandering around. And then the man uses his magic staff to absorb it. So I was immediately intrigued because I wanted to know how this magic works, and also fairy zombies sounded really cool. So then switches to Raina. She is this human slave in a fey court. So it looks as if in the story, like all of the humans have been enslaved for a good while, and Raina herself was actually born into this slavery. So they have all the humans who are enslaved, and then the fey rulers. So she's different from the other humans because of her hair. It's like a copper color, so it seems like humans all have much darker hair. The Fae have more of a blonde hair type of situation. So she's kind of seen as a freak. However, she does dream of having enough money to escape the court that she is enslaved to and using her freedom to become a warrior. There's even this little extra bit where she talks about hoping to eventually braid her copper hair, even though nobody likes her hair, but she's going to do that because she's going to become a warrior. So one day, she beats one of the other human slaves at a game of chess. He gives her the money that he bet, and she gets the last of the money she needs to be able to escape. Fortunately, on the way out of the human town and back to this golden palace of the Fae, because it's called the Golden Court and literally everything is made of gold, another slave warns her that she is wanted by the king. So she's one of the last lucky few female slaves to be this contender for the king's concubine, and being bound to the king would effectively make her immortal, and that's the last thing she wants. Okay, she doesn't want to have anything to do with him. He's known for being sadistic, so she's trying to get away as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, she has runes engraved on her skin, so this makes her more valuable as a slave because the runes allow her to construct the staffs that the Fae need to use for their magic. That's the only way that they're able to practice magic or use magic in any way. So they need humans and they use humans with these rune marks to do so. So Raina and a few other women are brought into this great hall. They're made to stand before the king and be surveyed. And one of the women, she is like this warrior type woman. She has all these scars all over her face. She tries to fight the king off, and he uses his staff to kill her. So now it's down to just 4 people. But then he notices that Raina has runes along her body, and he chooses her. So it seems like now Raina has absolutely no way out. So I stopped reading there. I really enjoyed the magic aspects of the story, and Fae zombies sounded really cool. Like I said, being able to use magic through these strict limitations also sound cool. However, I'm not a fan of how Reina was treated, like she was basically just dehumanized through the entire thing that I was part of it that I was reading. So it doesn't personally interest me to read about characters, especially Fae characters, since this is so common in romantasy now. Like who are cruel to everyone, who are sadistic. So I'm not going to continue reading. But if you happen to like this trope, I would recommend that you check out the series because it seems like a very strong contender in the romantasy genre.
All right, thank you. Um, I'm going to make this book a little bit bigger so you guys can see the cover of the book that she was talking about. And now let's go on to book number 3 on today's list, A Vow of Dragons and Storms by G. Bailey. And this is the first of 3 books in the Lost Fae Riders series, another romantasy, another USA Today bestselling author. The other books are $4 to $5 each, but again, they're all in Kindle Unlimited. The third book in this series is not out yet. It's due at the end of January, but it is available for pre-order, and the author has been on our list before. Lilivette read this book for us, and she says it's about dragons and dragon-riding fae who used to rule the world until the vampires took over and the dragon dynasty mysteriously disappeared. Our protagonist, 22 years old, her name is Story, and she's a lesser fae, and she became a blood slave for the vampires. And at the age of 14, every fae must undergo a blood test where they will be chosen to either become a breeder, go work in the mines, or become a blood slave. And usually blood slaves are fae who have health conditions that might make it difficult for them to survive as mine workers or breeders. And that's the category Story fell into because she had some health complications. And she got taken away from her mother and given to the vampires. And then she escaped. So she escaped the vampire that she was supposed to work for and ran away to the forest. And she's hunted by the vampire and she finds a mysterious abandoned mansion in the middle of the forest. And she goes inside, hoping to hide from the vampire. And the house ends up being more powerful and mysterious than she expected. Because inside she finds a statue of a dragon, and then a mysterious young man shows up, and the door handle behind her mysteriously vanishes. And then she wakes up in the middle of an auditorium surrounded by a group of mysterious yet alluring fae, unlike any fae she'd seen before. And she discovers that they're the descendants of the dragon dynasty that mysteriously disappeared all those years ago. They've been trapped in this house for centuries and haven't been able to figure out a way out. And so they're really interested in Story because she's the first person who's been able to enter the house in 500 years. And she may or may not have some dragon blood in her. And so they decide she's going to go through the trial in the stones, which is a coming of age trial where the stone dragons who live underneath will choose if she's going to become a dragon rider or not. And Lilivette says it's a fast-paced book. It's an interesting world. She likes the characters. And she says she will definitely continue reading the story, and she can't wait to see how Story will do in her trials, what will happen to the vampires if the dragons find a way out of the mansion. And she recommends that you give the book a try if you're interested with a quick-paced and interesting book with powerful beings and lots of secrets. All right, now, book number 2 on today's list, another romantasy, A Deal with A Deal with the Shadow King by Anya Cosgrove is the first of 3 books in the Curse of the Fae, another romantic fantasy series. The other books are $6 to $7 each, and they should be in Kindle Unlimited. I have it as not. I will double check and update that article. And this is the author's first time on our Free Friday list, and Emma read this for us, Emma, what did you think of this book?
So this one sounded like another enemies to lovers story, but I jumped right in. So it begins with Penelope. She is a princess. She has a gift of magic. It's not clear why she has magic, as fairies are the only ones who have it, it seems. So there's once again the humans versus the fairies, and she is part of the human kingdom. She has magic for whatever reason, but she uses her powers for good. Starts off with her healing a horse's broken leg, and she's like out on this farm where the horse is, and she's like the farmer says thank you for her, like for what she has done. She goes off, she heads back to the palace, and this happens to be right before her birthday, her 18th birthday. And something big is going to happen on that birthday, but once there, her tutor, who is this non-magic fae, who's considered an outcast, gives her a small mirror. So Penelope is hours away from her birthday, and it turns out that back when she was born, her father, the king, made this deal with a Shadow King, who is ruler of the fairy realm. And to cure his wife, who is Penelope's mother, of a disease, he promised Penelope to the king on her 18th birthday. Unfortunately, while her mother was cured, she eventually died in this freak accident type of thing. So, thankfully, it looks like Penelope only needs to stay with the Shadow King for a set period of time, like maybe a year or so. And he's also not allowed to touch her without consent because she's still a virgin. So her dad made that very clear when he made the deal that that is like not going to happen while she is with the Shadow King. So just before her birthday, Penelope meets with another noble she had been seeing, Sir Isaac. They stop by their favorite willow tree. He gets down on one knee, asks her to marry him, and she's unable to tell him about her father's deal because she doesn't want him to worry. So she just says that maybe they could wait a year, and she suggests that, after that, then I'll be free to marry. Right now I need to be with my father because my mother just died, that type of thing. So she uses this excuse, but he says he'll wait for her. So now back to that mirror I mentioned. At first, Penelope is afraid of it because legend has it that fairies use them as portals to wreak havoc on humans, so they sort of like travel through the mirrors and they use it to attack humans, that type of thing. And mirrors are basically forbidden. There's also another large mirror that's been put in place for the Shadow King's arrival. So Penelope can't help but like wander to that room with the small mirror, but also looking at the big mirror. It's hours before her birthday. It's suddenly the Shadow King appears. He's going to take her away to fulfill their deal. And without even being able to say goodbye, Penelope is blindfolded and taken through the mirror through magic. So I thought the story started off strongly. I liked Penelope as a character. I kind of wanted to see what would happen to her. So even though I'm not the biggest fan of romantasy and like I said, the enemies to lovers trope, I think I might actually give this one a try. This one seemed like one of the more interesting ones that I've read.
Thanks, Emma. Oh, and I double checked. The entire series is in Kindle Unlimited. The third book isn't out yet. It will be released in February and is available for pre-order. Now, before we go on to book number one on today's list, I want to thank our supporters who donate to us via Patreon. Christopher Luby is the newest one. Thank you, Christopher. So all the money raised from our Patreon supporters goes to pay for original fiction because at MetaStellar, we publish a lot of short stories on our website. There's short stories going up pretty much every week. They're always free. So definitely subscribe to our newsletter if you don't want to miss any of them, or just check out the website. Links down in the description box below. And the money that's donated from Patreon and from joining our YouTube channel and from following our affiliate links, all of it goes to pay our writers. So none of us editors are paid. We're all volunteers, including the ones who work on the anthologies. So all of your money goes directly to writers. We love you guys. We would not exist without you. Thank you so much. It's really hard to be a writer out there, so we're doing everything we can to help them out. All right, now on to book number one on today's free science fiction fantasy bestseller list. Oh, and Emma does book editing. She's a book editor, and I have books up on Amazon. Okay, so the number one free science fiction and fantasy book up on Amazon. It's got over 17,000 positive reviews. It's insane. The Broken Kingdoms by L.J. Andrews. And this is actually a box set of the first three books in a series, which is 9 books total. Romantic fantasy, also a USA Today best-selling author. The other books are normally $6 each, but like I said, you get 3 books in this box set, and all the other books are in Kindle Unlimited. So fantastic deal. The author has been on our list before, and I read the beginning of this book, and so has Lilivette. So we're having a little bit of coordination issues today, because of the holiday. Okay, so it's a young adult fantasy. The protagonist is about to turn 20, and her name is Elise. Her uncle is the king, and she's of age to get married, and she's about to get married off. So she's rebelling a little bit. And as the book opens, she sneaks away to a gambling hall and she's gambling. And she's got her hair pinned up under a cap. She smeared dirt on her face so she wouldn't get recognized. Although she's kind of minor royalty, so people wouldn't necessarily know her anyway. Um, then a fight breaks out and she tries to sneak out. And as she's leaving, she bumps into a wealthy merchant. And the merchant notices that she's a girl. Did he recognize her? She doesn't know. She runs through the back streets, she evades patrols, she crawls through a loose board in a fence, sneaks back into her house through the cellar door. She thinks she's home safe, and she's caught. So there's somebody with a holding a knife on her, but she's caught by two servants, and they're actually her best friends. So it's not as bad as the book makes it sound. They are pissed that she went off without them, though. They also wanted to go out, and she promises that the next time she sneaks out of the house, she'll bring them with her. And they tell her that she might be getting in trouble because the king is at the house, and she has to hurry up and get changed and get bathed and get dressed so she can go downstairs and meet the king. So she does that, and she finds out that the king is going to pick a husband for her. And if she refuses, things will not go well for her family. In particular, her dad is sick, and there's something a little iffy about that. I suspect the king, but who knows? There could be all kinds of political intrigue in this kingdom. So she's there. She's not particularly enthused about getting married off to some old, rich, mean guy who's going to cheat on her with all his concubines. It's, getting married is not a good thing in this particular universe. And then the king says that the job of finding her a husband is obviously beneath him personally, so he's delegating it to a merchant who's experienced in negotiations, and this merchant is, ta-da, the guy who caught her at the gambling hall. And it turns out he did recognize her. It also turns out that he's young and hot, and she has a major crush on him, and it's his job to find her a suitable husband. So I can see why people like this book. The writing is extremely readable and it is engaging, and Elise is a sympathetic character. And plus, she's a bookworm. And who doesn't like a bookworm? I mean, obviously, we all love bookworms. That's why we're here. And she cares a lot about the social inequality in the kingdom. And she's really anxious to do something important with her life before her life is over because she got married. But the main plot is definitely the romance. So if you like romance in a complicated fantasy setting with political intrigue, is the king poisoning her father? Is there conflict brewing in the kingdom? All that stuff. Then you might like this series very much. Myself, I'm not going to be sticking with it. because there's too much of the mushy stuff, and I do not like the mushy stuff. Um, so those were the books on today's bestseller list. I want to thank all of you for joining us here today. And if you plan to read any of these books, let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for joining us every week. Thank you, Emma, for helping me out. Thank you, Lilibet and Sydney, even though you couldn't be here. We're wishing everybody a very happy holiday season and an upcoming new year. And we will see you all in 2025. And if you're interested, here are a couple of videos that you might also like. So check that out. Bye, everybody.
Hi.